there's also examples of it going sideways, like what's happening in the UK and what's happening in other parts of Europe, where the totalitarian measures are ramping up. And they didn't win the war on woke. In fact, they lost that war.
That's true.
They lost that war. And I think that's a shining example of the difference between what we tolerate in America. Having the First Amendment, having that freedom of speech, and then also having the Second Amendment, the ability to back that up. People are, you're going to use your. I remember even Biden was talking about that. You're gonna fight a fucking jet with your rifles. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, no, but guess what? You can't just do what they did in Australia and ship people off to camps in America.
Yeah.
Try that shit in Georgia.
Well, it's so stupid, too, because number one, the Taliban just did that to you, sir. Like, literally, you just pulled out in disgrace of a war that you couldn't win against a bunch of illiterate goat herders with rifles. So,
not only that, we left behind billions of dollars of weapons.
They got a lot more rifles now.
And they go on parades with them, where they're driving tanks down the street and flying over fucking Blackhawks.
But of course, the point is that, well, yes, if the U.S. military decided to nuke its own population, yes, you're right, our guns wouldn't do any good. But the point is that that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to rule us. And of course, having guns. I don't know, by the way, let's say the Jews in Nazi Germany had been well armed. Would that have been enough to stop the Holocaust? Or if the Ukrainians had been well armed, would that have been enough to stop the genocide that Stalin inflicted on them or whatever? But I'd be better they are than not. I don't know. It might at least give them a second to go well, we can't go, And the truth is, if you were to just think the state that we're in right now, it's what? Let's say they were just tomorrow, some leader was we're rounding up all the guns in Texas. No, you're fucking not. Good luck. Yeah. You'll have a civil war on your hands. These people are not giving up their guns voluntarily. And the thing about people who won't give up their guns voluntarily is if you try to force them to it, they have guns.
Especially if they think you're going to shoot them.
Yeah.
If you're coming with guns, they have guns, now you have a fight.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's terrifying. And then you're paying someone to go do that. That's a regular person. This is the thing about people in the Army or in the police. These are just regular folks.
Who tend to lean right wing and tend to like guns and the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Who may not be so keen on, taking away the Second Amendment.
No, and they'll understand that this is a totalitarian measure and that what's going to happen is it's going to be the collapse of what we understand of as America. We think of America in terms of our ability to express ourselves first and our ability to defend ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's why it's number one and number two. And it's not to say that this is the entire reason, because obviously things there's many different variables and factors, and it's a complicated history. But a huge part of the reason why America is the most prosperous, most successful country and has largely been the freest country in the history of the world is because of that. Because the first thing we enshrined in our Bill of Rights was listen, man, the government is, and it's not. It's not what the people are allowed to do. It's what the government is not allowed to do to the people. Congress shall write no law. Period. This is it's the fact that this is the only country in the history of the world that was started on that premise and then has gone on to be the most dominantly successful country in the history of the world is not a coincidence.
No, it's not. This is freedom's last battleground.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're in the middle of it right now. We're in the middle of it in a weird transitionary time where things are being exposed at a level that have never been exposed before. And people have an understanding of how corrupt this system is at a way they've never been able to fully comprehend before. You have an uncle that tells you, what they do is the CIA sends people. Uncle's crazy. That guy's out of his fucking mind. Then Mike Benz explains it to you and shows you charts and graphs and brings up articles and has classified documents that have been released, and he's showing you those. You're like,
yeah.